Hey guys, this is Eric here, and for this Halloween, we're gonna do a little something special. We're gonna read a creepypasta for Doom called Doom45, or previously known as Doom45.exe. This was first posted on the Zandronum forums back in December 2012, and this is like the author's first creepypasta. It has been updated back in like December 2016, and this updated version can be found on Some Ordinary Gamers wiki. So for this video, we're gonna read the updated version of it. I'll leave links in the description of the original version and the updated version if you want to read for yourself. But we're gonna read the pasta and I guess give some thoughts up, afterwards. Anyways, let's begin. I had started browsing the 8 Games directories, which was the ultimate mod database for the first-person shooter Doom, out of pure boredom. I then came across a WAD file called Doom45.wad. The author's name was A, and the file size was 1 GB. Just that. Despite this, the file had 5 out of 5 stars, and I instinctively downloaded it. When the file had finally finished, I opened the zip file the WAD came in, but there was no WAD to be found. In its place was Doom45.pk3, and a text document, which was required in order to be submitted to this archive. Curiously enough, the mod file to play the game was required to be a WAD file in order to be accepted, as submissions go through a strenuous process to be accepted, and it wasn't uncommon for some WAD files to be rejected, just because they were vaguely based on one of the original levels or some other inane reasons. I did hear about some PK3 files being accepted, however, so I guess exceptions can be made. When I opened the text document, it only read, "To be sorry," 8 times. Perplexed, yet curious, I decided to open the contents to have a look at them, as a PK3 file was basically another name for a zip file, with the extension itself being specialized for games such as Quake 3 and obviously Doom. It was standard Doom fare, with some special effects, new monsters, and weapons, and new graphics that couldn't have taken up more than 75 megabytes at most. What I found to have taken up most of the space was a massive library of new textures, nothing out of the ordinary, and 7 new levels that seemed to be huge, but I still couldn't figure out why these textures and levels took up approximately 300 megabytes, as they could have looked like they couldn't have taken up more than 100. I then loaded Doom45.pk3 with Zandronum, which is a Doom source port made mainly for online multiplayer. What I found was remarkable. The file only took about 3 seconds to boot up. The title screen, composed of a side profile of a marine holding a monster's severed head in his hand, came up, and nothing more. I went to the main menu and started up a new game on the normal difficulty. Hurt me plenty. It only got better from there. A heavy metal remake of the first level's music track started playing. My starting weapon was an assault rifle, and I knew I was playing Knee Deep in Doom, a remake of Doom's first episode for today's source ports. Ecstatic, I proceeded into the first area, and I encountered zombies with various weapons. When I shot at them, they were wounded and eventually killed in ways more realistic than the original game. And then I learned that Doom 45 not only had Knee Deep in Doom, but was also a souped-up version of Brutal Doom, a Doom mod notorious for giving the player several different ways to kill enemies, as well as extreme graphic violence, complete with new monsters and weapons. I was close to finishing the first level, and I already wanted to play this until the wee hours of the night. When I proceeded to the second level, it was just as good as the first. The usual death and destruction came about, and naturally, there were new monsters. However, there were 2 things I had noticed. One, while the first level had a heavy metal remix, the second level just had the original MIDI track of the second level playing. 2, while the background sky of the first level was a mountain range against a white sky, the background sky of the second level was a blood red sky. But since this was Doom after all, this wasn't particularly out of the ordinary, so I pressed on to the third level. But out of the corner of my eye, every now and then, I swear I could have seen a black figure, which looked like a mix between a man and a cloud. The third level was when things had really started to seem off. The music track for this level was a disturbing ambient track from Doom 64, and the background sky was nothing but pitch black. This isn't what put me off though. 2 things had happened. The zombies were able to talk, but in this demonic voice that's hard to describe. Some of those zombies were even more aggressive, whereas some other zombies actually tried to run away. The former zombies insulted and threatened me with phrases like, "I'll rip your eyes out, fucker," and "grow some balls, you worthless shit," while the latter zombies actually pleaded for their lives with, "Why are you doing this to me?" and "Please, don't kill me." The other thing that put me off was whenever I grab a keycard, this black fog started to form around me, and whispering was heard. For some reason, I was moving slower and slower, till finally, I couldn't move at all. This whispering was hard to make out, and the second that the whispering stopped, I could move normally. and the black fog was all gone. I was baffled by this, but I considered this was Doom anyway, so I wasn't someone who was too easily disturbed by this. Regardless, I move on to the 4th level. The 4th level was simply a square room with a switch in the middle. The music track was the track where you find a bunny's head on a stick, and there was nothing to be seen here besides the switch. Naturally, I pressed the switch, but what followed genuinely shocked me. The HUD face, which showed how much health you had, was in complete shock. A message on the screen read, "Before it's too late." The screen cut to black, and the agonized scream of a man that sent shivers down my spine burst out of the computer's speakers. It was the death sound your player character would make when he was killed by something more powerful than usual. Only the volume on this particular sound was raised to deafening levels. I suddenly found myself in the 5th level, but this was no better. For some reason, the only enemy seen was these flying black skulls that were covered in black flames. Think Lost Souls from the original game, but completely black instead. And the music track for this level was also the track for the final level of Doom 2. They were very fast, very tough, and very lethal. I came across a group of these, and I died within seconds of encountering these monsters. The second time I started this level, the game's normal monsters replaced these black souls, but I was stunned by the fact that the HUD's face was now all bloodied up, and the eyes were gouged out. It was in the same state of shock as before, not to mention that the usual death screams of the monsters were now replaced with the deafening sound of static, forcing me to mute the computer especially. At this point, I was desperate to finish this game, but quitting was impossible, as any attempts to quit would result in me resuming the game. Just as I was about to finish this level, my character's vision suddenly got bloody, to the point where I couldn't see anything but the HUD. And I now noticed that my health dropped to 0 at that instant, meaning I had died during that moment. However, for some reason, I had finished the level. I found myself in the 6th level. It was just like the 6th level of the original game, except it was extremely dark and there was no background music. Realizing I had muted my computer, I unmuted it. Still no background music or even sound effects at this point. There were no monsters to be seen, but what did come up was the faint sound of static. The computer speakers were still at a minimum, but the sound of static grew louder and louder until it was about to break the speakers, and it stopped just suddenly as it started. Still, I looked for something to pop up, but nothing was there, just the empty hallways. A minute later, the static was replaced with whispering. The whispering I could tell was mostly in languages I couldn't understand. Frightened, I ultimately decided to shut off my computer without even bothering to exit out of the game. I asked myself, what was this thing? Is this even a game? What kind of sick joke did the author have in mind? Yet something was telling me to keep going, either out of bio-fascination or some higher power telling me to do so. When I turned my computer back on, I was still in the game, but I was dead. The HUD face, however, looked completely normal, as if nothing happened, and still, there was nothing to be seen here. The screeching stopped suddenly, and the screen cut to black, as the computer suddenly shut off for a second, then started to boot up again. It seemed as if the computer had rebooted itself as soon as the screeching stopped, or the computer had crashed. When I loaded up to the desktop, my first instinct was to go to the directory where I had put DOOM45. To my surprise, both the text document and the PK3 file itself were gone. It's as if I had never downloaded DOOM45 in the first place. It's likely that the files must have been corrupted by the crash. Then, out of that same bio-fascination, which prompted me to continue playing DOOM45, I immediately went back to the 8Games archive. The DOOM45 file was no longer there. Confused and perplexed, I asked myself why the file just suddenly vanished. My next move was to register to the Doom World forums, but the system told me I had to wait until the next day, so I forced myself to go to sleep, with my head full of questions. The next day, I created a topic asking what was Doom45. I got several replies saying that it doesn't exist, some saying it was probably just another urban legend, and some even asking what Doom45 was. Then even after that, the threads asking about Doom45 got deleted. Ultimately, I've since decided to not seek out any more questions about Doom45, as such questions could be too ghastly or otherwise too strange to comprehend. I wonder if it even was real. If it isn't, which I may have trouble believing, but which might actually be the case either way, since I've been quite sick lately, so it might have been that I passed out and dreamed all of this up in a very terrifyingly real nightmare? But if it is real, then I fear for anyone who may be unfortunate to stumble upon Doom45. I certainly hope I just dreamed it all up. and that was Doom45, or previously known as Doom45.exe. Now, as you can tell, it's, well, even with the update, it still has its cliches, and it's still not really much of a good creepypasta, but given that this is like the author's first one, and he hasn't made one since then, well, he made another one, but that one never got published, so, well, you get the idea. And really, I think this just, well, I don't know, there's not really much going for it besides a spooky Doom wad. Now, granted, this isn't the first time we had 7869.wad, you know, with the creepypasta called Doom Lost Water Null. But let's focus on this one. So the first thing that doesn't make sense is the id Games archive taking in files larger than 50 megabytes. I mean, that's pretty much the limit for a file to be accepted on id Games. Now they do accept PK3 files, sure, but a whole gigabyte file, like, no one thought of checking it. Look, now, there are times where a file would be removed from the id Games archive for, you know, any reasons, and the Total Biscuit one I done months ago, that got removed. But this one, like, did nobody got suspicious about the 1 gigabyte file or anything? Did the author not, like, check if there were past threads on the Doom World forums about this? Anything? I mean, that's kind of a bit odd. Another thing to say is, this is a mod consisting of stolen assets of knee-deep in Z-Doom, and, well, I mean, Brutal Doom stole other assets, so you could say it's stealing assets of stolen assets. I don't know, but, yeah, still, So, if the mod's consisting of stolen assets, how did it get out the id Games archive? I mean, sure, you're more likely to get away with it in, like, say, ModDB or any other site, but this is the id Games archive, so it really doesn't add up here. And the mod itself, I mean, it's a creepy mod. I mean, with GZ Doom's Z script, I mean, this is pretty much possible now. You can pretty much make something like this easily. But even so, if a mod like this came around, even before Z script was a thing, I am sure this will get massive public attention. Well, not that massive, but, like, you know, for being an unusual mod, I mean, that will surely get the attention on its own. But I'm surprised no one had made a creepypasta, you know, WoW based off this, so, you know. And I guess I'm kind of glad it's just a mod because, you know, if it would have been bad if there were cliches of, you know, more gore or some creepy being watching the author, which is funny to say since in, like, the past version of this creepypasta, there was a lot of gore of Doom guy getting torn apart and stuff, but, well, luckily no, you know, creepy guy watching, so at least there's that, but, I don't know. What, did some guy hijack the id Games archive and decide to upload it there himself? What, did some guy have a vendetta? What, Sergeant Mark IV has a lost cousin who hates life or something? I don't really know what's going on here. And the Doom World asking threads thing, you know, how the threads got deleted and all, or how some people say it's an urban legend that doesn't exist, I mean, it really doesn't make sense at all. And I'm pretty sure if there were threads like that and they got deleted, I mean, wouldn't that imply, I don't know, a conspiracy or maybe some rogue mod? I don't know. What is Linguisha behind all the strings here? Is he on a joke? I don't know. Well, there's that. The creepypasta was just meh. It's your typical creepypasta video game, so honestly, there's not much to say about this. Anyways, that's the story, and I hope you enjoy it. I bet you don't. And, well, hope you enjoy the rest of your October. See you there.